Somewhere online right now, a 21-year-old college athlete is being called a killer, not by police, not by prosecutors, not by anyone who's actually reviewed forensic evidence in a courtroom. By a YouTube video, one built on a misheard word in a low-quality audio recording, a screenshot of two people standing near each other, and a comment that says, "When you see consensus across a bunch of random people, that means the truth is starting to come out." And that's not how truth works. That's how a mob forms. Tonight, we're not covering the Nolan Wells case the way we usually do. We're covering something else entirely. What happens when the internet decides it's solved a case, and what it costs the people caught inside that decision. Stay with us. Welcome to the Black Docket. If you're new here, subscribe. But I want to say up front, this one's different. We're not breaking new case details tonight. We're breaking down a pattern using this case as the example because I think it's actually one of the more important things happening in true crime content right now, and almost nobody's naming it directly over the past several days. A specific kind of video has been spreading around the Nolan Wells case. You've probably seen at least one. They follow a recognizable formula. Start with a piece of disputed audio, layer in a photo pulled from social media, add a comment section screenshot, string together a theory, and land on a name. In this case, that name belongs to a real 21-year-old college football player, someone with no criminal charge against him, no confirmed connection to Nolan's death beyond appearing in witness accounts the same way dozens of other people that day do. I'm not going to repeat his name in this video, and I'm not going to walk through the specific theory built around him, because doing either would just be another version of the exact thing I'm trying to explain is dangerous. If you've seen the videos, you know who I mean. If you haven't, that's fine. You don't need to see them for what comes next to make sense. Here's the actual mechanics of how a video like that gets built, step by step, because understanding the mechanics is what lets you spot it happening again on this case or the next one. Step one, start with something genuinely uncertain. In this case, an enhanced piece of 911 audio that even the outlet that produced it admits isn't confirmed. Nobody knows for certain what words are actually being said in the background of a chaotic, low-quality recording of a boat taking on water. Step two, fill that uncertainty with the most dramatic possible interpretation. A commotion becomes a struggle. A yelled name becomes an accusation. A panicked phrase becomes a confession. Step three, build a motive around it using material that has nothing to do with a crime at all. An old photo, a comment on Instagram, the fact that someone graduated from a certain high school or plays for a certain college team. None of that is evidence of anything. It's texture dressed up to feel like evidence. Step four, and this is the part I think is genuinely the most corrosive, cite the volume of people agreeing online as if agreement itself is proof. That line I read you in the hook. When you see consensus across a bunch of random people, that means the truth is starting to come out. I want you to really sit with how backwards that is. 100 people repeating the same unverified claim doesn't make it more true. It makes it more repeated. Those are not the same thing, and treating them as the same thing is exactly how misinformation compounds instead of getting corrected. Here's what I think gets lost in videos like this. There's a real human being on the other end of that theory, someone whose name is now permanently associated in search results and social feeds with an accusation of killing another person, an accusation built entirely on a word nobody can actually confirm was said. We've already talked across our coverage of this case about the documented pattern of harassment connected to it. Threats serious enough that the FBI is involved. Anonymous hate mail sent to Nolan's own mother. A reported wave of one-star reviews on her professional profile. Those things happen to people on every side of this case's speculation, including almost certainly whoever gets named next by a video like the one we're discussing tonight. That's not a hypothetical risk. It's the documented, repeating pattern of exactly what this case has already produced more than once. I want to be honest about something because I think it's the more uncomfortable truth underneath all of this. The impulse driving these videos isn't usually malice, it's usually the same thing driving legitimate frustration with this case, a sense that answers are moving too slowly, that official channels feel opaque, that a family is still waiting weeks later for something concrete. That frustration is completely legitimate. Nolan Wells' family deserves real answers, and they deserve them faster than a slow-moving grand jury process is currently providing them. But legitimate frustration with a slow system doesn't turn a guess into evidence. It just means the guess feels more urgent. And urgency is precisely what makes people stop checking whether something is actually confirmed before repeating it. So what's the actual difference between covering this case responsibly and doing what we just walked through? It's not that responsible coverage avoids hard questions. We ask hard questions in nearly every video we make about this case, about the timeline, about the audio, about the autopsy findings, about what investigators have and haven't done. The difference is in what you do with an answer you don't actually have. When we don't know something, we say we don't know it. When a piece of evidence is disputed, we say it's disputed. Not some people think this is fake, delivered in a tone that makes clear we don't actually believe that ourselves. When a private citizen's name comes up in reporting, we report what's actually been said on the record, and we stop there. We don't build a motive, a timeline, and a verdict around them using material that was never evidence in the first place. That's slower. It's less satisfying. It will never get the same reaction as a video that confidently tells you a name and a theory in the first 60 seconds, but it's the difference between journalism and a witch hunt with production value. Here's what I actually want you to take from tonight, more than any specific detail about this case. The next time you watch a video on this case or any other that names a private person and builds a theory of guilt around disputed audio, screenshots, and everyone online agrees, ask yourself one question before you share it. What specifically here is actually confirmed, not implied, not suggested by tone, confirmed? If the honest answer is not much, that's worth sitting with before that name gets attached to something it might not deserve. We'll keep covering the real developments in Nolan Wells' case as they're actually confirmed. Subscribe if you want coverage. That tells you the difference between the two.